Yeah, thank you. So welcome to Designing Openly for Everyone, Meet Codex. Yeah, as Medet said, I'm Bárbara Martínez. I'm Senior UX Designer at the Wikimedia Foundation. And during the last few years, I have been collaborating in the creation of Codex, the design system of Wikimedia, not the one from OpenAI, that is the same name. And yeah, some of you know what is Codex or have been playing with Codex in some way, in some moment. Maybe not, or maybe yes. Because if you have ever clicked, edit, read, or do anything in Wikipedia, you probably have been playing with Codex, because Codex is the design system that we use for Wikipedia and any Wikimedia project in some way. And yeah, when I first joined the Wikimedia Foundation, what amazed me most was not the scale of the project that is over a billion of users. What most amazed me was how open everything was, because anyone could see our work, contribute, and improve it. And when I started working in Codex, I realized that Codex is not only a design system, it's a living conversation with people from everywhere and in all the world. Designing for Wikimedia means designing for everyone. And this is not always easy, it's complex, but it's really meaningful. We build with the community, not just for it. This is super important in our projects. This means that we collaborate with the thousands of volunteers that contribute to Wikipedia or any other Wikimedia project. And designing not just with my team, but with people from all over the world is really exciting and yeah, motivating. And what is Codex? Codex is more than a UI library. It's a collection of guidelines, standards, and reusable elements that help our teams and also people outside the foundation to create new features. Wikimedia, as commented, Wikimedia serves over a billion of users. This means that we work for users for different languages, different devices, different abilities, different contexts, and different cultures. And Codex helps us respond to this complexity, but by a system that supports consistency, accessibility, and scalability. Codex came from after more than 20 years of Wikimedia projects, and over that, all this time, over all these years, teams and volunteers were creating different features, different tools, and different things in many different ways. So Codex, born to give, to unify all these previous things, but always without losing the origins, because it's important that we communicate always the essence of Wikimedia and Wikipedia. And what makes Codex truly unique is that it's built through open collaborations. Contributors from Wikimedia Foundations, Wikimedia Deutschland, and also the global volunteer community help make Codex every day. As part of this open collaboration, Codex is a federated design system. This means that no single team owns it. Instead, different designers, developers, and also people from outside the foundation are collaborating, creating new components, new icons, or new tokens. And while this openness is sometimes complex, this makes the Codex design system also strong, with more inclusion and more trustable. And yeah, since we work for open collaboration, we manage all the design and development tasks in Phabricator. Phabricator is our beloved tool that is open for everyone and is where we manage all our tasks for design and development. Anyone can jump in our Phabricator's task and ask questions, comment, provide feedback, also suggest change, anything. This is truly unique. And many components and icons and tokens have been created directly with volunteer contribution and with contribution from people outside the foundation. So we prioritize always tasks in Phabricators based on real needs. what the teams are working on, what the volunteers request, all this. We introduce something in Codex is because it's going to be used in real life. And as part of this open collaboration, I'm giving some examples. The typehead search is one of the components in Codex. Typehead search that is basically the search input that we use in Wikipedia and many other Wikimedia sites. We detect, with the Wikimedia Foundation, we detect that this search input was not working properly for small devices, so we decided to open a task in Phabricator, and with the feedback of many different users joining the task that was so long, we decided to redesign some things like including a clear button to remove the typeable text when you are searching, or removing the search icon on mobile to make this better for small screens. But not only this, we improve the keyboard navigation, and we also include some accessibility improvements, especially for those users using this typehead search on mobile. Another small but big change was the external link icon. The external link icon is this icon that we use everywhere for links, the links that are also only external. The previous version, that was this one, the first one, was not well optimized for, because it was not well visible in this small size, because we use this in 12 pixels. So some users request that this needed to be updated, and we create a task. We collaborate with them. We provide a lot of feedback. We collect a lot of feedback from them in the task, and based on this real feedback, we redesign this icon to this other version. They are similar, but not the same. And the second one is working much better, of course, in this small size. These are small changes, but small changes that makes a big difference, or that have a lot of impact. And science open collaboration means listening and evolving based on the community feedback. During the last Wikimedia hackathon, we received some requests from volunteers to have in Phabricator a space where we could have good first task for volunteers, regardless of their expertise. Because not all of them have the same expertise, and some of them wanted to work in some tasks that were more easy for them. So we create this tab in Phabricator with good first task for Codex, so everyone can join this Phabricator board and find tasks that fits in their expertise. So we can improve the collaboration. And also, as part of the last Wikimedia hackathon, we also create this Codex, this Telegram channel for Codex that everyone can join. You can join now using the QR, or you can ask me later. Please join. And here you can ask questions. You can open any conversation related with the Codex design system. And another thing that makes the Codex design system unique is the accessibility, of course. Accessibility is not just a checklist in Codex, it's the baseline of our mission. Accessibility is about making sure that everyone can navigate, interact, and contribute without barriers. And we design for people that is using screen readers, yes, but accessibility is not just for these few people, it's for everyone, because anyone, regardless of the screen readers or keyboard navigation or anything, they can benefit from accessibility improvements. One example is someone holding a baby with one hand and using the mobile with the other one. Maybe with the other one is reading or editing an article in Wikipedia. In this case, this person is using just one hand, so this person will need that the interface and all the components and all is really easy to navigate, to be able to navigate with just one hand. Or maybe you have a broken arm or something. Sometimes you don't have permanent disabilities, but divisibilities. Another example, the typical one, when you are reading an article or editing or doing other tasks in a train while the sun is writing in the screen and writing on, directly on your mobile. In this case, this user will need that the interface is enough contrast to be able to read all in a proper way. And these are some of the billion of examples that people that doesn't have permanent disabilities, but anyway, they benefit from the accessibility improvements that we work every day. Because accessibility is not something that you can check once, it's an ongoing effort, it's something that you need to include at the beginning of the project always, and evolve while the project is growing. So we are constantly learning from people, providing feedback in our Phabricator task or users providing feedback, and always improving the accessibility, because also the accessibility requirements are always changing, so it's something that we regularly need to evolve and review. And as part of these accessibility improvements, one example is the dark mode. The dark mode was a feature that was highly requested by many users. It reflects our focus on accessibility and our focus on visual comfort, readability, and reduce strain, especially in low-light environments. As part of the dark mode feature, we needed to review all our color palette and also make things like desaturate some colors, especially the progressive or the blue ones that we use for buttons or links. This is how we create the palette. We needed to take all the colors that we have and then create new ones that we're going to use in the dark mode. We use some accessibility tools, but we also needed to adjust manually some colors. Okay. And and as part of the dark mode work, you can read Wikipedia in both light mode and dark mode, but in Codex, we have all the tokens, and all the components create for both ready to use for both light and dark mode. So if you want to create any project, you only need to use the component, and then this component and all the tokens will work automatically. Another example of the accessibility improvements is the diff styles. The diff styles are the ones that we use to indicate when the content was added or removed from an article. This is really important because it's the way we have to explain users the history of an article. The previous version was using just colors, and these colors were not working super well, and also the problem that we have with the diff styles, and this is why we decided to redesign this, is because we were using diff styles differently across different projects and across different platforms. So there were some inconsistencies across projects and platforms. So we decided to create a Phabricator task, as always, and work with the community feedback, work in different iterations, and we end up with this new version that not only includes different color updates, but also we reinforce the concept of adding and removing with other visual clues, like such as the icons, also the borders, and redesigning some things in the interface. Because this is an accessibility principle, not always rely on colors to indicate the different states or status or the different elements, but also rely on more visual clues to indicate these differentiations, because the colors will be perceived by some users as you want, but some other users will rely on icons or will rely on the borders or even in the text. So we have different ways of improve the accessibility, not always with colors, because all of us know about the color contrast, but accessibility is much more. Another important thing in Codex is the internationalization. The internationalization Codex is built for more than 300 languages. That is a lot. And this is not only about translation. The internationalization in Codex includes full support for right-to-left language, The reading direction for Arabic and Hebrew. Also icon flipping for all our icon system. Text expansion for the different components in Codex, and flexible components to be able to include all these difference in the different languages. One example of the internationalization applied in Codex is the icons. We need to, apart from the 300 languages, we need to cover many different cultures. And the icons, some icons are examples that not in all cultures an icon means the same. For example, the bold and italic. We needed to include these icons not only once, but in the difference, in all these different variations, because bold is understood as bold in English, but in Spain we say negrita. So in Spain we need an N, and the same with these different languages, and also with italic. In English we say italic, while in Spain we say cursiva. So we need to always make sure that anything, any component or any icon that we include in Codex is not only include, we need to make sure that this is going to work for the different 300 languages and the different hundreds of cultures that we work for. So yeah, in Codex we adapt the icons, and we include localized versions for icons and components. And also we design components with this different with this difference in mind. Thanks to open collaboration, we can collect feedback from many different people from many different countries all around the world. So with this feedback, we can improve how we work for internationalization. Because of course, not all of us know how to read for Arabic. So this feedback provided by real users is really meaningful, because they are real users that are using this. So yeah, we create all our components. All our components are ready to be used in left to right, reading direction, and also for right to left. And since bidirectionality is really important in Codex, we have dedicated guidelines in our Codex site explaining the difference and explaining how to mirror any component, icon, or also interface. And also the variation across language. This is also part of the internationalization. Since we work for many different languages, not all the languages have the same text length. And this is really important. We sometimes design for English or for Spanish, but we need to make sure that we need to always work for the edge case or for all the case, not for the case that is going to work visually well in design. For example, and we also need to test the components not only once. We need to test the components. When creating one single component, we need to test this component in many different languages and many different use cases to make sure that this one single component is going to work well in these different use cases. An example of this is a menu. Imagine that we design the menu. The menu will probably work well for English or for Spanish, because these words are not so long or so short. But what if this menu is going to be used in Chinese or in Japanese? In this case, the text of the word is going to be so short. So we need to make sure to test this to decide the proper width of the menu. So this is why we regularly need to test our components many times to make sure that it's going to work for all these hundreds of use cases that we need to cover. And this is why simplicity and reusability is the base of Codex. We design Codex as simple as possible, because if we create more complexity and more components and more icons and more things, we are going to test this in all these hundreds of use cases. So this is why we try to create our Codex system and also our interface as simple as possible, but trying to cover all these use cases. And yeah, we are almost at the end. So just to say that you can be part of Codex. because Codex is open for everyone. This is a QR where you can find the Phabricator task that you can start contributing to or join the design discussions in any task. So you can use the QR to join the Phabricator board, or as me later, you could subscribe and comment to Phabricator, to any Phabricator tasks, propose new components, icons, and tokens if you think that they are going to be useful. You can share feedback, improve documentation. You can also improve the documentation in the Codex site, join design these discussions, and also submit patches for code or review code. You can be part of Codex. Joining our Phabricator board. And yeah, to close, I will say that designing openly, of course, might take more effort, is more complex, but it leads to systems that are real, more strong, more sustainable, and of course, more inclusive, because you open the conversation to people that is going to use this system in their reality, not internally in the company. So yeah, let's keep building and let's keep doing it together. Thank you so much, and I will be in the QR session in case you have questions for later. Thank you.